What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew? This is Ball Hawk Fatima Lafonum of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
All right, well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining me here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live. It is, it's a Tuesday. It's cold outside, at least if you live around where I'm at, and you even got a little bit of snow. We're going to be talking about the main topic of the day that's going to be a little divisive and a little sensitive for a lot of us. But you know what? I'm going to dive into it from two different standpoints. One, hey, as somebody who's coached a long time, anytime a coach, coaching colleague, friend, etc., gets a promotion, I'm happy for them. You work your butt off. Here's what I'd say about being a coach. If for every opening that happens in the United States, this was once upon a time pointed out to me, and I'm going to paraphrase. I don't actually know if there's stats, but just let's just say for every opening there's probably about, 300,000-400,000 people that apply for that job, and there's only about 10,000 of those jobs that come available every year. Maybe there's actually more applicants than that, but you guys get it. There are a ton of people trying to get the job you want. The scales are not in your favor. So anytime a coach is promoted, you know what, gets that opportunity, good for them. They were the diamond in the rough, what do you want to say, needle in the haystack that actually got the job. With all that being said, though, over the last, 12 hours or so, some details have really started to emerge about Ben Johnson, the Chicago Bears, and some of the stuff that Ben Johnson was doing during that quote-unquote bye week that maybe we can all agree had an impact on the Detroit Lions, at least to some extent in their preparation for the Washington Commanders. I'm going to say this. We'll talk about it during the main topic of the day, but I think it's an unavoidable reality that as long as you can interview people during the bye week for teams that are still active, hire them, quote unquote, hire them, and then ask them to build, take care of all the details with their new job, they're going to be distracted. And again, we'll get into that during the main topic of the day, but hopefully nobody gets too upset about the thumbnail. I had a little bit of fun with it. I thought it was fun, but it does kind of also allude some of the stuff we're going to talk to about Ben Johnson getting that job. So don't take it too serious one way or the other. Have a little fun with it, because at the end of the day, I do try to make you guys laugh a little bit and have some good times talking about these different topics. All right, real quick, before we get into the main topic of the day, the 5 headlines now, stuff like that. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. 20 subs away from hitting 12,900. So if you can help out, that would be great. Also, if you have a half second of time, reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, that like button. As you guys probably know, it helps everybody in YouTube out exponentially. We try to get every video between 200 to 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, if you're considering buying or selling property, and it can be a new house, vacant house, commercial land, vacant land, really anything in real estate in the continental United States, let alone the state of Michigan where I reside, give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. We can have a quick conversation, what I can do to save you some time, save you some money, save you some hassle. Make sure you don't get messed over either by a lender or anybody else. Try to protect you a little bit. So give me a call, shoot me a text. We'll have that conversation. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get this show rolling and going and get into 5 headlines now. All right, they are 5 glorious headlines now coming at you. Aaron Glenn rumors. Latest updates on Jets, Saints pursuit of Lions coach. Story by Mike Moratis. Hey, we all get it. It's Mike Moratis Sporting News. He's got this one, and everybody's reporting the same stuff. It does sound like the Jets want to interview Glenn for a second time. They're going to bring him back over, or have a virtual interview with him. Good for Aaron Glenn. I think he'd be a pretty decent fit there. Obviously, he has some ties there, having played there, knows the organization exponentially well. We're going to see what happens with this. This is going to be a developing situation and story, sort of like the Ben Johnson one. My anticipation is we'll know something by end of this week, I should say, where he's going. It could be possible that it gets dragged out longer than that, but if I'm an NFL team, I'm probably wanting to put this thing to bed sooner versus later, just so you do right by Aaron Glenn. You allow him the opportunity, like Ben Johnson, to select his support staff, his OC, DC, etc., bring in all those people, and now start preparing for free agency. I got to review everybody on the current roster. Who do I want gone? Who do I want to keep, etc.? Is there anybody on the practice squad we want to elevate and try to protect? Where do we need to really address in free agency, the draft, etc.? There's a long, lengthy process, and the sooner Aaron Glenn is hired to wherever he's going to go, the more time is being given, I should say, to himself and anybody he brings on board to start doing their real due diligence. So we'll see what that one shakes out pretty quick here. All right, next of the 5 headlines now, potential replacements for Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, story by Tony Camaro of NFL Trade Rumors. Not a publication I go to regularly, but I thought Tony was pretty spot on with this one. Let's go with this first. As far as the OC possibilities for replacing Ben Johnson, Tony adds that ESPN's Adam Scheffler listed the following in-house candidates as potential replacements for the coordinator. Assistant head coach, running back coach Scotty Montgomery, he's been listed quite a bit. Passing game coordinator Tanner Elstrand. I know we've talked about him for a few weeks now. It does seem like Tanner is the number one candidate to replace Ben Johnson. It also sounds like for the last few seasons, I think we've talked about on this show, you probably heard it in 20 billion other places, Lions were aware that both Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson could potentially take head coaching jobs, move on, etc. So, Tanner's been one of them that has been sitting around purposefully understudying from Ben Johnson to try to make sure that if you want to just maintain what he's been doing, you've got somebody who's very familiar with things. A lot of the same concepts will have been ingrained into him, terminology, etc. That's my anticipation. Who's going to replace him? As far as for Aaron Glenn, we've been talking about this, especially the last 3 weeks. I feel Kelvin Shepard, the linebacker coach for the Detroit Lions, he seems like the in-house candidate to do it. Now, with all that being said, none of these guys have had these positions before, just like Aaron Glenn, just like Ben Johnson. Could they hit the cover off the ball, hit a grand slam by hiring these guys? Absolutely. It would be my thoughts, though, based on all the different years and decades I've coached, they can be totally great candidates. But if they've never done these positions before, you are going to go through a learning curve. No different than virtually any job on planet Earth. If you've never done it before, there is a learning opportunity for all of us. You're going to probably cost yourself some games early in the year. My anticipation is if the Detroit Lions really want to maintain the ship and try to keep things going up and away in the next year or two, I hate to say it against these guys, I would probably be encouraging to hire somebody who's done the position before, just so you do not have as much of a learning curve. Yes, they're going to have to learn the personnel. Yes, the personnel is going to have to learn them. But I think that's going to be an easier ask than putting somebody in place who's never been an OC or DC before. What's going to be the right answer for the Detroit Lions? I guess you're just going to have to, we all are going to have to trust in the wisdom of MC, DC, and Brad Holmes, whoever they select. And I do believe these are going to be critical hires. If you're really going to continue to win the NFC North, contend for the Super Bowl, that stuff, I think this is one of the biggest off seasons, and there'll probably be a show in on itself maybe later this week or next week. This will be the biggest off season in recent years for the Detroit Lions. I guess you could say since 2021 when MC, DC, and Brad Holmes came aboard. All right, Lions $22 million defender surprisingly named possible cut candidate DJ Reader. Story by Mike Moratis of the Sporting News. And yes, Sporting News, Iron Mike, you could say, thinks that the Lions may actually move off DJ Reader and a couple other veterans this year. I personally don't see that happening with Reader. I thought he played pretty dang well this year. Did he supersede expectations? No, but I thought the expectations were very appropriate for Reader. Did he shut down the run? Yes. Did you at times get more interior defensive line pressure out of him than you might have anticipated when you signed him? I'd say that's fair. He did have 2 sack performance once and a couple other good games. Moratis goes through a number of different things, why he thinks the Lions may try to cut some of the older guys like Reader and bring in some younger players. He does surprisingly talk about Broderick Martin in this story and thinks that maybe him next to Lee McNeil is the way the Lions may want to trend. I'm not so sure about that just because what did we ever see out of Broderick Martin this year? So unless he has some inside information about it, I don't know. He also does list that re-signing Levi Onwuzurike could be a potential reason why they may get rid of Reeder. Thought Onwuzurike really played great, and I would agree with that. I thought he played pretty dang well, especially the last month of the season. We'll have to wait and see, but this is something for all of us to keep an eye on. Dan Campbell, playoff loss, quote, fuel for the fire. Detroit Lions Super Bowl window still open. Story by Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press. And just simply put, I agree. I think this is going to be a lot of motivation for them, a lot of reason for guys to grind. You think about someone like, St. Brown, Monty, Gibbs. I mean, really, the bulk of this team, I suspect this is going to be, they're going to take a month off or whatever it is, a couple weeks, a month off. They're going to go on their vacation, spend time with the family, and the kids, all that stuff. That's what you would expect out of the coaches and the players. With that being said, once that's all said and done, think about how we feel as fans after that loss to the Commanders. That's going to sit and just grind on the mental aspects of every player and coach, everybody in the front office. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions come in next season like gangbusters. And yes, we'll do a breakdown on their schedule at a different point. But I'm not thinking that this, the floor is going to fall out underneath us. I don't think we're going to drop to like an 8-win team or 9-win team. Could we maybe only win 11 or 12? Yeah. But when you've won 15, it's hard to maintain that. Maybe they win 15. Heck, man, maybe they go undefeated next year. I don't know. But I do think the Lions are going to be real big Super Bowl contenders again next year. All right, Detroit Lions 2025 offseason primer. Story by Christian Borer of SI.com. So I figured we'd bring this up a little bit, just kind of walk through some stuff. Most of us already know these things, but hey, reasons for hope for this team, I kind of already talked about. I think we've got an axe to grind. Plus, we're going to get back all those injured players. That will help as well. That's probably one of the biggest reasons right there is just feeling the hope, feeling the vibe, feeling the grind. Number 2, reasons to worry. The Lions are going to have to make some tough calls with a couple of different players on the team. That's one thing. But when you look across the landscape in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs, they may win the Super Bowl this year. But if that happens, think about all the wear they put on some of their aging players now for the last several years. Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, doesn't quite look like Patrick Mahomes 4 years ago. And you could say, man, it's the offensive line, it's the receivers, whatever. I think he's starting to show signs of age. That's my personal opinion. Chris Jones ain't getting any younger. Same with Travis Kelce. And you could go through a team-by-team basis of a lot of people the Lions are going to have to face. I will say the Washington Commanders look like one of the better teams you're going to have to face in the foreseeable future. Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not so sure. We'll get to all that in time. But I think if you go through his story, there's a lot of good stuff here as to if I'm a Lions fan, why I should feel positive about things, and also some things that probably gives you some inside information what Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and the guys are looking at as far as who do they have to try to improve to beat in the NFC and then obviously get to the Super Bowl. They're going to have to make some real tough calls on a couple free agents. Carlton Davis, Kevin Zettler, Derek Barnes. Already talked about Levi Onwuzurike earlier. Tim Patrick, I really like him. I hope they keep him back. Marcus Davenport, didn't even really get to know this guy, so I won't be surprised if they don't bring him back. In fact, I think they already have his replacement, and Z Smith. And then Ife Melifano, I like the guy, but think about just how often he's injured. Even in the Washington Commanders playoff game, he pulled a hamstring. He wasn't coming back in, so I don't know. I like Ife, but if you're never available, are you really there and a part of the team? I'm thinking it's probably time to move on from him, but we'll see what they do. All right, and then, as far as the main topic of the day, let's head over to that. I did invite Anthony from Roar Lions UK to come over at the bottom of the hour, so 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see if he's able to make it today. I don't have a confirmation from him. So, all right, with all that said, let's go over to, the main topic of the day. All right, so, and I hope you guys at least got a chuckle out of the thumbnail today. I try to find the most evil grin of Ben Johnson as possible. And I already talked about it during the opening monologue a little bit. Hey, every coach that wants to become a head coach, I hope you get the opportunity. There's nothing like it, and it is vastly different from being an assistant coach or coordinator. All that being said, I do have some problems. Whether you want to blame Ben Johnson for this, whether you want to blame the way the NFL sets up the interview process for people, I'll leave that to you guys to detail and come to your own conclusions. Here's where I have a problem with things. And again, blame who you want for it, whether it's Ben Johnson, the Chicago Bears, or the NFL itself. Ben Johnson, it does appear from information that's coming out, more than likely was offered the job last Friday. Now, while that in itself doesn't seem like a big thing because it was, quote unquote, kind of during the down week, you didn't even know who you were going to play yet. What does start to emerge is that, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of this past week, Ben Johnson was being asked to interview people to become his, OCDC, support staff, et cetera, like that. I don't care how diligent you are as a person, human being, we all get it. Think about it. If you're Ben Johnson at that moment, you know that you're going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. You also know you have to prepare for, now you're aware at that point, the Washington Commanders. There's only so many hours of the day, especially when you're a dad as well. You got to spend some time with the wife, right? You got to spend some time with the kids. Those are unavoidable expenses on your daily tax, as far as your hours. But now you're trying to prepare for the Washington Commanders. And you know what you also have to do? You have to find some time to interview people virtually. I'm assuming at least virtually. Wasn't probably flying all over to interview people to be your OC, DC, etc. How many hours a day are you really left to work with to figure out, hey, we need to call this against this defense. When this guy's in position over here, we need to do that. The bottom line is it's a distraction. And even if it only costs you an hour or two a day, that's an hour or two you're not prepared for things. It also sounds like Ben Johnson did reveal to a couple of key Lions personnel that when the season concluded, he would be out as the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator and that he was accepting a job. You can come to your own conclusions with this or that. I understand my opinion may not be your opinion. It's okay. Have your own opinion. But it does, I would say, appear, if you go back and rewatch the Washington Commanders game, Jared Goff isn't his normal self. Now, is that because he got shell-shocked and, dropped with a big blow to the head after the pick six? Maybe. Before that, did you feel like he really looked the same? I would say Goff seems a little off. In my opinion, just my opinion, Jared Goff is an expressive personality that is an amicable personality as well. So one, you had two different main personality types battling with each other. What does this mean? It means he's a highly loyal and emotional person. I don't know when Ben Johnson told him, maybe it was right before kickoff. Hey, by the way, I'm going to coach Chicago Bears next year. But it would be my guess that Ben Johnson did inform Jared Goff, probably MCDC, that he was going to be departing after the season. And if this is accurate, then Jared Goff was probably in his feelings going into that game. Probably not an ideal move by anybody. I probably would have recommended tell him after the season. Just, if somebody asks, hey, are you taking a new job? Nah, man, I'm not doing that. I'm here forever. I'm riding and dying. Because you probably, as Ben Johnson, are aware that this is going to have an impact and have a result on your quarterback. I don't know. I don't have that for actual information. It's just my Scooby doing things. But I do think that's probably what played out. And because of that, Jared Goff was a little rattled, a little off. And you know what? You look at his deep shot, the interception to Tim Patrick. Does he ever miss that pass? I don't think so. Not overthrowing, at least. So that pass was about 2 feet over Tim Patrick. So I do think that's a part of it. And once the first mistake happened, the fumble, I'm guessing that just, exacerbated the situation with Goff. Now he's even more emotional. His mind's all over the place. He's not right. It happens in the world. I mean, that's part of coaching, is putting your players in a good, calm, emotional state. Not every player responds to information the same way. Some people you can yell and scream at. Some people you can't say anything to. It's just going to mess them up. We can all complain about you got to treat everybody the same, but that's the reality of coaching. You don't treat everybody the same because not everybody is the same person. I don't know the Goff talk with Ben Johnson for reality fact. What I can say is, based on more and more information that is coming out, that yes, Ben Johnson took the job last Friday to be the Chicago Bears coach. And then, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was doing interviews with people to try to bring him into the Chicago Bears. Some of them, yes, do appear to be Detroit Lions current staff. So we're probably going to get information one way or the other that a few guys are jumping ship with them. It's going to happen. As a coach, and I'm talking selfishly here, I'm happy for all the guys. They're getting an opportunity. If that's what you want, you've paid your dues, you've put in your time, you've worked your way up from either being a player into a coach or, just always been a coach. Maybe you've worked your way up from Pee Wee football, Pop Warner, into the NFL, and now you got an opportunity to advance your career. Happy for you. Whatever their individual stories are, I'm happy for them. As a Lions fan, a Lions reporter and stuff, I think it's complete knockoff Mountain Dew, something bad. I don't know. Insert your own whatever you want to say there. That all this is happening while the Lions are allegedly trying to prepare for their first playoff game and a chance to get to the Super Bowl. So, all right, you guys have heard me ramble on for probably way too long about this. These are the facts as I best know them. I present them the best way possible. Some of you are not going to like the thumbnail. Again, take it in jest. It's meant to be a little bit of, satire, a little bit of, just make everybody laugh. Hey, it's a difficult time when you see someone that I think most of us like, Ben Johnson, jump ship. And if he would have jumped ship to, the Miami Dolphins or just somebody not in our division, probably most of us would not have cared to wish him well. But the fact that he's going to the Chicago Bears, the fact that he got him interviewing people, including some Detroit Lions current staff to go over there while they're prepping for the playoffs, it just raised a lot of eyebrows. Was this a distraction that really needed to happen? Did it have an impact on the game? If you felt like the coaching staff for the Detroit Lions looked somehow off that Washington game, unlike last year's playoffs, this year's season, last year's regular season, I would say I would agree with you. I feel like everybody involved somehow did not look their normal self, and that does matriculate down to the players. If people really knew in-house what was going on, it probably was a distraction. So that's my thoughts. Again, you can have completely different thoughts. Let's get over to see what you guys have to say, though, and the Dew Crew is, give me just a brief second to scroll to the top of the screen. This may take a moment. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button while I'm scrolling, because I'm still scrolling. All right, here we go. Michael, greetings, salutations, coach and Dew Crew, exclamation point, one pride, back at you, my friend. Lauren, good morning, all, and same to you. JDC, morning, all. Moonscar, Benidict Johnson, question mark, interesting take, coach. Good morning, Dew Crew, starting lineup, exclamation point, trying to cope with the loss and move on. Still, yeah, I think most of us are, my friend. You're not alone there. You're not alone at all. Who do we draft first? Defensive line or offensive line? Woo! I believe it's going to be defensive line this year. I just think we've already addressed those needs, most of them at least. We'll see what shakes out, though. I mean, maybe it'll just be the best player available. Detroit D, greetings, salutation. Skip Ben Johnson, he's now the enemy. Yes, he is. The other team's quarterback must go down, and maybe their head coach, and they must go down hard. Greetings, salutations, y'all. Heard some stuff yesterday about this. He was interviewing coaches to be on his staff last week. That is the word, correct. And again, it seems like it would have been a distraction for everybody. Mike the Ring, Gunny, howdy, Dan and Duke Crew. Woo! Back at you, Gunny. Hopefully you're having a good start to your day. Scar, best player available, hopefully fitting one of those needs. Usually it's offensive line that far back around one. Yeah, and me, I do everything I can to improve upon that offensive line. I think it wasn't quite as expected this year. I think we all agree. Penei Sewell is safe. Ragnow, if he wants to return, he's safe. Decker, I don't think he had a great season. I think you could probably survive another year with him. Maybe that's a bad way to put it, survive. I do believe both guards are going to be replaced. If Zettler wants to return, though, because I do think he played beyond expectations. Him and Mahogany out there on the offensive line, I think that offensive line might be the number one offensive line in the league. I think it would be a powerful offensive line. Clark, right, Jess, Ben Johnson was spending hours every day focused on his new job and not as focused on the Lions' upcoming game. What the heck? Yes, I would agree with that. I agree with that fully. Detroit D, exclamation points. Good thing we know is we know Ben Johnson inside and out. We still will still be good Kings of the North. Yeah, I agree with all that. I don't think we're going to lose the North next year. You look at the North, I think Green Bay's got some big question marks. Minnesota, a lot of it's going to come down to, do you move on to JJ or do you keep Darnold? And then Ben Johnson is going to be the head coach there. I'm sure he's going to do some good things for that offense. Does that mean they're going to now all of a sudden leapfrog to number one? Probably not, but I've been wrong before. Moonscar Blade, that's why the NFL needs to put a stop to the interviews until after the Super Bowl. There is plenty of time to get your stuff together before the new season begins. I would agree with that. I don't see any other league that allows this, and you can see, in my opinion, the results on the better teams, who everybody wants their support staff. like the Lions. I think if the interview process doesn't happen, and I hate saying this, if it doesn't go down this way, the Lions probably win that game. Who knows? If nothing else, it looks a whole lot better. Trey, Michael, in your opinion, it will be D-line. I think the team spent a lot on offensive line development last 2 years. Those players will step in this year. I think there could be a lot of truth to that. JDC, true that, Moonscar Blade. Art, bad, play calls. And now signing with the Bears is looking pretty hinky. Yeah, I agree with that. To me, he just didn't look right. And it wasn't just him. I mean, think about the 12 men on the field thing. Has that ever happened before? Not that I can think of in the last 2 or 3 years. And I just feel like the entire coaching staff was distracted. All right, Avery T, I think we should trade our number 1 pick for Myles Garrett or Crosby. And if that fails through, let's trade up for the best edge on the draft. That could be where it be. We'll be definitely diving into all those things here in the next month or so as we get ready for the draft, free agency, et cetera, et cetera. Big Eddie, greetings, salutations. Yes, Moonscar Blade. There just isn't any way humanly possible a coach can be focused on their current job while also being asked to interview, and now, in Ben Johnson's case, take the job and hire others to work for him with the Bears. Correct. I think we're on the same page there. Lionel, good morning, fellow Duke Crew family. Exclamation point. Ben Johnson can take a bag full of lemons for that move. What a backstabbing move. I mean, I get it as a coach. Hey, there's only 31 other jobs because you're not replacing MCDC. You got to take the ones that are offered to you. I just thought, man, I get all that, but going to the Bears, it's just not a good look. And, he's probably really not ultimately worried if it's a good look or not. I hope he falls on his face in the mud over in Soldier Field. Southwest Lion, good morning, all. So much for the theory about Ben Johnson not wanting to go against Dan Campbell twice here. Dead wrong about that. MCDC is smarter than people think. I think the Lions will be fine. I think so too, man. Art, I will say this. His first game at Ford Field will not be a pleasant homecoming for him. No, there are a couple of you guys messaged me yesterday and asked a very buoyant question. Who's the most hated person Detroit Lions fans right now? Matt Stafford or Ben Johnson? Or maybe it's a tie. Darcy, Avery T, I think we can get him for just 1 first. I don't know. Can we get him for just 1 first? I don't know. He didn't have a great year. Would be a nice ad, though. Yeah, Myles Garrett would be a real nice ad. Whether or not they do that, man, I got no clue there. France, laughing out loud. This thumbnail made me laugh. Nice one, Coach, and good morning, Duke Crew. Back at you, my friend. Hopefully you did get a good laugh. Southwest Line, this cuts both ways. Ben Johnson knows the Lions and the other NFC North teams. That's very true. But we know Ben Johnson more than any of the other NFC teams. Correct. We would know him intimately, his playbook, tendencies, etc. 70, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Still my team. We will be better next year. I feel, Coach, tell me I'm right for thinking that way. I think so. I think here's where I'll start. Start with your lines of scrimmage. I do think both offensive and defensive lines will be better next year than what you had this year. I've already kind of talked about the offensive line, so I won't repeat it. The defensive line, when you get McNeil back, my guess is we're going to aggressively try to re-sign Levi Onwuzurike, Zadarius Smith, Aiden Hutchinson. That's a pretty dang formidable defensive front. Could it be the best in the NFL? I still think you're going to have some abilities to upgrade that even further. Then it comes down to this, the secondary. Can you get maybe another corner or two, or does Rakestraw develop or whatever? Now that secondary is pretty dang good. You expect Terrion Arnold's going to be better. Then he can just focus on the linebackers. Bootscar, I hear you, Southwest Line. I thought that same thing. Also thought Bears ownership and polls would be a red flag. Probably the draft picks they have helped away him. Carolina, high second. Yeah, could be. Southwest Line, Ben Johnson was a great OC for the Lions, but he wasn't perfect. To only have Gibbs run the ball 14 times was a huge error. I would agree with that. And the 3rd and 1 call, shotgun empty, worst call ever. We're going to be talking about that one for a long time. Rob, greetings, salutations, Coach Dan and Duke Crew. The Lions are the grooviest, Adio. I like the way you're thinking. Henry, let's see. Good morning, Coach Dan and Duke Crew. What a team, what a podcast. Thank you for that. What a trader. Is this why we lost that game? Question mark. Did he get paid to throw the game? I don't know if he got paid to throw the game, but I do think, kind of like I already talked about, Henry, there's only so much time. I mean, you think about the bulk of the coach's ability to study, to prep for the week, to prep for the game. That is going to be Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Because on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're meeting with the team, you're practicing, you're going through stuff with the positional coaches. So during the time he's supposed to be watching film and breaking everything down, he is conducting interviews to bring in people for his future staff. It's just how much can somebody really not be distracted by that? Let's start my sentiment for Ben Johnson by Felicia! Exclamation point. And thanks for all the fish. 2 different references if you get them. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Southwest line, unfair to put the blame on Aaron Glenn and the defense. 5 turnovers was the story of this loss. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Plus, Ben Johnson had much more talent to work with than Aaron Glenn ever had. I would also agree with that. I think spot on there. John, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. I believe Vegas pulled their offer. Brady was having a hard time watching Ben, you could tell. Okay, it could be just that. Could be. Jason, his play calling was suspect against Washington. Yes, I think that's what we're all kind of getting wind of now, just figuring things out and why it was suspect. I'd say Southwest line, my thought is that Tom Brady would be rooting for the Lions every time they play the Bears, probably. Rob, the Bears, Ben Johnson is no ditka. We'll find out. Southwest line, John King, that's a very interesting take. That would be funny if you were right. Maybe Brady was having second thoughts. Yeah, could be. Could totally be. All right, guys, let's go over and get over to our special guest today. You know him. You love him. He is the host of Roar Lions UK. Let's get our guy, and let's bring on Anthony. And without further ado, Anthony, how you doing?
Oh, I've been better, Dan. I'm not going to lie. It's been a tough few days, hasn't it?
It has, man. It has. So let's dive into this and get your take. I would be interested in hearing it. It sounds like Ben Johnson may have been hired last Friday, unofficially as the Bears coach, and that he may have already begun the interview processes over the weekend. If this is all true, how big of a distraction was it for him and the offense, Detroit Lions, leading into the Washington Commanders game?
Is he allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do interviews for your job when you're in another job? That would seem like some break of a protocol. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that would be the tough thing I'd have believing. If it's true, then it's downright outrageous. He's got to be focused on our game. And, you shouldn't be able to interview these guys till the season's done. If you want him, if you're really that badly after him, then you're going to have to wait, unfortunately. Our season is still going. You shouldn't suck and need a new head coach. So, obviously, it's a very tough thing to process right now because, people are still shocked from the Washington loss. Yeah. And I see a lot of people going around yesterday going, oh, be happy for him, be happy for Chicago. No, everybody's still, trying to process the loss of the game, and then this happens to a rival. It's akin to getting, kicked in the face when you're already on the ground. It's a couple of gut punches here. So, if anything untoward has gone on, then, of course, it's not going to go down well. I hope it's not. I would like to think he wouldn't, but, stranger things have happened, right?
Right. And you go back in hindsight, now that we know this about him getting the job, potentially, I guess that'd be safe to say, potentially he was interviewing people. Dennis Allen was one of them to be his defense coordinator. I get Dennis Allen's basically a free agent. You can talk to him at any time. But it does seem like when you go back and watch the Washington Commanders game, Goff is not himself. The offense just seems not as smooth as it normally was. Do you think now that you know this information, you can look back and say something was amiss with Goff? Did he know about Ben Johnson leaving? Did he get emotional? Or do you just think it was the pressure of the game?
Goff wasn't Goff because he got clocked by Frankie Louvu, which was an absolutely disgusting tackle. I'm very convinced that Goff got concussed after that because Dan was talking about how his footwork wasn't right when he was throwing. Throws were a little too airy. He was putting a little too much on the throws. He wasn't as accurate as he was. That hit was disgusting, and that that pick six should never have counted. Like, Patrick Mahomes got a flag for that when Will Anderson didn't even touch him. Like, Goff gets full-on hit in his helmet badly, and that should have been flagged. So I'm not sure. Goff is mentally very strong. I mean, come on, man. He won a game this season throwing 5 picks. I have got no doubt about Jared Goff's mental frame of mind. He is mentally very tough. The fact that he got clocked and concussed is what set him off on this game. And again, it's an absolute disgrace that nobody is talking about it because it was a terrible hit. It should have been called, and it obviously affected him. He had to go out. We had to see Teddy Bridgewater for a while. He's not going to go off for an entire drive if there's nothing wrong with him. So that was what was up with Jared. Dirty hit.
So we all get it now. Ben Johnson's gone. He's out of here. How big of an impact, in your opinion, will this have on the offense come next year?
I think we'll be fine. We have a very, our offense and Ben Johnson's, it's very complex. We can win a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways we can win games. It's scheme wise, it's easy because you can get a lot. We've got guys trained in house to deal with this scheme to be able to carry on running it, or we've got playmakers who can adapt to whatever you want to do. This is a multifaceted, varied offense. So they're not as mentally unstable. People are going, oh, now Ben's gone, everyone's going to be terrible. No, we've got a lot of quality players on offense here. We're going to be fine.
Right.
And if Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes assembled this staff by throwing a load of darts at a board, like that's what they did. They just kept throwing darts, hoping things would stick. Imagine what they're going to be able to do when they've got 4 years worth of assistants who they've been training, getting ready for this moment and ready to promote from within. If you can just find a load of nobodies and put them into positions to succeed, you're sure as hell going to be able to do it when you've got a lot of guys here in the building already who are ready to step up into these positions and be able to carry on the work done by their predecessors. So I have absolutely zero concerns about their ability to find staff. And the great thing is, like, a lot of these guys have succeeded. When they've not, Anthony Lynn, guys like that, out the building, they're gone, next man in, and they found somebody who's done it. So they have an immaculate track record when it comes to their staff, and who am I to doubt them at this point that they'll be able to replenish them? I'm, on the contrary, I'm really confident that we're going to be able to replace these guys, and I'm adamant in the strength of our team that it's not going to matter how good they are. We've still got a great team here who's going to play really good football. So, thanks, Ben. See you. Next man up. Good teams lose guys. The train rolls on without you. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'm not going to miss you. Bye-bye.
So when you look at the Lions, the season's obviously over. We've got to move on now from here. You heard MCDC talk about that yesterday. This is going to make us better, in his opinion. Where do you think the Lions really need to focus their off-season movement with the team as far as player personnel? Do you think they need to focus more on the defense, the offense? Are there any particular positions you feel we need to strongly upgrade?
The Lions just need to carry on doing exactly what they've done in that. Like, this loss should not deviate them from the course. Be smart in free agency, find the value there, maybe guys who've got something to prove, bring them in, and then supplement all that with great players from the draft. Doesn't matter where they're at. Obviously, we have a need. We're going to have a need on the offensive line now at guard with Zeitler and Glasgow. We're going to need to bring someone in from that and, potentially phase Glasgow out the team next year. Outside of that, the offense is looking healthy. You don't need your running backs, your quarterbacks, your tight ends. So you're probably primarily looking on defense. You want to build the depth on defense to withstand the barrage of injuries we've had this year. So obviously we need edge rushers, maybe need a defensive tackle depending on what goes on with Broderick on the offseason. Obviously we need some more linebackers. We, probably need another safety. Maybe, you can never have too much good corner depth. I think you would look for the defense because it's been ravaged by injuries. Because let's not forget, we're going to start next season without a lot of these guys. We're not going to have Aleem. We're not going to have Rodrigo. There's several guys who are not going to be ready for us. Is Barnes coming back? We need a new Sam linebacker if he doesn't come. Defense, I think, is going to be the primary recipient of the off-season additions, but the way at which they go about it, they need to stay exactly the same. For me, the only thing I would say with Brad is it's time, with all the injuries we've had, to start getting rid of the injury-prone guys. I know you can't, injuries happen any day in the NFL, right? But you can minimize that impact. Like Mosley, I'm sorry, you've spent 2 years sucking us dry of money for nothing. Iffy, I love Iffy. I really do. And I'm thinking maybe it's time that, he's done now. Davenport's just a walking injury report. Like, I'm sorry, we need 53 roster spots with guys who are going to remain relatively healthy and are going to be available to us. We've got to start getting brutal with these guys. I know Dan's loyal to the vets and, all this, and it's a good show of faith in that. But we really got hammered by the fact that we've got too many players who are just on the shelf and are not reliable enough with their injuries, and we've got to start getting rid of them.
So when you look at the offensive line, I know that'll be one of the bigger things. You alluded to it with Glasgow, et cetera, Zettler. I actually think Zettler played incredibly well this year. We'll see if they can re-sign him. But one of the other questions that will come up at times will be Taylor Decker. I know some people mentioned it yesterday in the show. While he didn't play badly this year, he did have times where he kind of almost like fell asleep. What do you think they need to do next year with the offensive line specifically?
Right. This all depends on what Zeitler does, because obviously, it's been pontificated on for a long time now that he's going to retire when this season is done. I know Risden's been saying it for a while now. So if Zeitler retires, for me, what you do, you give Graham the offseason to prove that he's healthy, because again, the rumors are he's got a chronic knee injury, which may not get better. So you've got to see what he can do. But the first thing is you move Graham back to right guard. Like, left guard is not his position. And I think in some essence, it's why Taylor's struggled this year, because he's not had a dependable left guard next to him playing really well. Like, he's been left on an island sometimes on his own. So you put Mahogany in at left guard because he can play at left guard and he looks great. You move Graham back to right guard, give him the opportunity to prove his fitness, and you draft Graham's long-term successor this year. I mean, I don't like putting too many rookies on the line at once. I don't want to replace both guards. If Glasgow can be healthy, have one rookie in there, get Mahogany, get going, ready, integrated, then get your next guy to come in afterwards. And I think you're all right going forward. I have no concerns about Taylor for now. In terms of pressing needs for this team, Taylor's not even in the top 10, 15 needs or list of concerns about this team right now for me. But you've got to start investing heavily in this line now. You've got to invest a high draft pick in this line now. I know Mahogany's round 6, but he had injury concerns and his leg concerns. He should have been a day 2 pick. He was a good pick. Yeah. But we need to invest another high pick in there because, Manu, Sorsdal, guys like this, we're carrying too much dead weight out of the day 3 picks we've had on this line. So, yeah, invest something high in there and get ready to transition power from Graham to a new guy next year. But put him at right guard.
So you mentioned Mahogany. Does look like, and I fully agree with you, that this kid's going to be something. I think maybe next year if you keep Zettler and him out there, that offensive line, that could be one of the best ones in the league. But just how special do you feel this kid really can be?
Oh, exceedingly. He comes from a school with great lineage. Boston College offensive linemen are some of the best that get produced out of college. And, technically he is incredibly well trained. You can see like how quickly he's adapted to life. He's versatile. He's played left and right guard for them, but he's well schemed. He's well taught. His technique looks really good. He's just getting up to speed with the NFL, which is his thing. Like the early block he missed, it was just like bang, bang. And, he missed one run block, but you saw him adapt to that. And that's why I don't want a second guard in the team next year. You want Mahogany to be on a line with 4 other veteran starters so he can integrate nice and seamlessly into this team. You don't want to have a ton of rookies and him in there as well. That's when it starts becoming a bit of a pain when you're trying to integrate too many new guys at once. But, the sky's the limit for him. Again, he wasn't a pick. His skill level does not equate to where he was picked in the draft. It was extenuating circumstances, but he's going to be very good for us in given time. I think maybe you might like starting next year. You might just see a bit of an adjustment period when he's playing week in, week out, but he will get there. That is the most important thing, and for us, it's critical because the line's getting older, and we need to start replacing them gradually.
Correct. Ben Johnson, obviously he's gone. It sounds like Aaron Glenn isn't going to be far behind. In your opinion, should the Lions look for external candidates, or do you think they'll keep it internal? And is there anybody in particular you'd like to see step into these roles?
I mean, this is a cop-out answer, but I want them to hire who is best for the job, who they believe is the best for the job. So whether that is in-house, whether that is, out of the system. I don't like to keep my mind too close to this. People just going, oh, yeah, they're going to hire internal. But if they don't feel that's the right option at this time for these guys, then, go out and get somebody who you can. It's part of the great thing about coaching. You've got to keep an open mind to this. For me, I do think the guys are here. It's been widely presumed for a long time that Tanner's going to be the guy who takes over, but he's in a similar mold to Ben. He's incredibly intelligent, innovative in what he does, and he's learned under him for the last 4 years. He'll have seen what he's done good, he'll have seen what he's done bad, and I'm pretty sure that's why we got him here in the first place as Pence. I'm pretty sure we would have assumed he'd be in this job by now, so I'd like to see that go to him. In terms of the defensive coordinator, I've always been in on Shep. Like, there's just something about Shep that I love. The players respond to him. He is another example of a guy who was, told, you this is not for you. Coaching's not for you. You're not going to be a coach. And Dan's given him the opportunity. And he's, you see, look at the growth in our linebackers in the time he's been here. Anzalone, when he came here, I mean, like, a lot of us were like, okay, is that the splash we're making at linebacker? That's not really good. He's been all right at New Orleans. And now look how central he's been to this team. Look what he's done for Malcolm Rodriguez. Malcolm Rodriguez is a late day 3 pick, and he's a pivotal part of this team as well. Jack Campbell has come on leaps and bounds. Derek Barnes has come on leaps and bounds. Like, these guys, every time someone goes in there, and like, even the depth guys who've been coming in, Neiman, Beauplank, they're all getting better. And that's because of him, and they respond to him, and he's a heart on his sleeve type guy. And, I think he's due a promotion. I think he's earned it. And, he's been here since the very beginning of this. He's just as invested in the cause as everybody else. So personally, for me, the options are in-house. But if they go outside, I'm not going to be upset because, again, their track record with the staff, I trust them. They've just nailed the hires, and any mistakes they've made, they've quickly rectified.
So real quick, and I want to thank you for being on the show. If you had to think about what the Lions should address first in the draft or free agency, or maybe both, where do you think this team ultimately goes in both categories?
Edge rusher. We need someone opposite Hutch for next year. Now, I know Hutch been back. We got Za'Darius next year, which is fine, but that's likely his last year. I still want another guy in. We don't get enough pressure on the quarterback.
Correct.
We just purely and simply, we don't get enough pressure on the quarterback. And having another edge in, that just makes things so much easier for our guys. Hutch takes a lot of the attention. You've got a star on the other edge, try block him. When Aleem's back, try and block him. Levi, I'm hoping is going to be back next year because he looks back to his interior, pass disrupting best. We need another guy on the edge. There are more needs we have as well, but that is the one I'm going for in the draft first and foremost. Free agency can deal with some of the others. I want another young stud edge rusher in to build this D-line around because that's ultimately where we came up short. We're not able to get enough tangible pressure. Someone who can tackle, someone who can get to the quarterback, and then we're gold.
All right, Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on over and giving us your expert opinions and inside the knowledge. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, see your great work and everything you do.
Yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. So if you want to come and hear your Detroit Lions news and bits from a British perspective, come over and check us out. We're really not that bad. You can find us on Mondays. Now we're in the off season. We just do one show a week on the Mondays. I do a college pod on Wednesdays. Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl coming up. It's draft time of year, so come join us for that. And find us at Roar of the Lions UK. Appreciate you, Dan, as always. Appreciate all the Dew crew. I know this sucks this week and everything stings, but we'll be back next year. This team's built different, and if anyone's built to withstand what's going on at the minute, we are. We'll be back, as they say.
We will be back. So, all right, my friend, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you on the next one.
I'll see you again soon, Dan. You take care. Bye.
See you now. All right, Dew crew, we'll get back over to you guys. We got about 12 minutes to go so before we get on out of here. So let's see what you guys have to say. Marcus, Coach Dan, are you saying he was Jared off? He was a little off that game. And whether or not, like Anthony said, it was the blow to the head, whether or not it was, the emotional impact of perhaps finding out that Ben Johnson's leaving, that I don't know. JK, why give up the run, though? Yeah, give up on the run, that I don't know, especially on that 3rd and 1. We're all probably going to be talking about it forever. If your offensive line is really the strength, if you really believe in yourself, in that area, why not say, hey, we're going to go for it on 4th down anyways. If we don't get on 3rd down, let's go for it on 4th down. But it isn't what happened. The apex predator teams will eat up a top 3 offense with a bottom 15 defense. If our O isn't firing on all cylinders, fair enough. See, Damien, Don Burr, facts, laughing out loud. Don Burr, one funky. David Pike, one like your golf takes. All right, fair enough. Ken, curious is to what the players thought are on Ben's departure in Chicago and how it all went down. Hope they have a problem with it and hope they put a beat down on his butt also. My suspicion is next year you're going to see both the offense and defense want to really just overly perform against the Bears. Kill shots or the refs of the game were all suspended for the missed calls. That might be. I don't know offhand. I couldn't comment on it. Detroit D, if that's the case, Goff isn't mentally tough. I would agree. So I'd like to think maybe it was the hit to the head that maybe had a little off. But really, at the end of the day, who knows, man? Everybody has a bad day. Rob, Broderick Martin can't even get on the field. You're not wrong there. It's been 2 years and done nothing. Bust at this point and wasted multiple draft picks on him. I get it, man, but also keep in mind, if he took 3 years to get on the field, Derek Barnes about the same, and there have been others, so we'll see what shakes out. Detroit fan, Ben Johnson checked out and sold out the Lions versus Washington. Get the heck out of town, you clown. Can't wait to beat your butt twice next year. I think that's going to be the growing sentiment across the fan base. Keith, forget Ben Johnson, AG. If he also leaves, exclamation point. Let them walk. I trust MCDC to get great replacements. Lions pride lives on. Woo! And you never know. The next person could be better than the person leaving. That does happen. Jonathan, good morning. Back at you. Michael, AG didn't pay attention to the Bucs Commanders tape. Probably true. Southwest line, there is no doubt after the hit Goff took on the pick six, he wasn't quite the same. No, I think you're spot on with that, Southwest. Number, fair enough, Southwest line. JK, that's why it's fake. Okay. Michael and Ben Johnson head was in his pocket and career. Maybe, indeed. One funky. Don, I've never been a Goff guy. When everyone was all geeked about the throws without a pick, I always pointed out the fact that he had most of the dropped INTs in the league over that time. He had the most dropped INTs. Excuse me. Damon, was the moment too big for Jared Goff? Let's hope not, because he's probably our quarterback, I would say, at least the next 2 years. After that, I mean, who really knows? Detroit D, I can't wait to shut Rob Parker up. Dude is a big hater in Detroit. Man, he's been that way since he was working for the Free Press. Michael, yes, turnovers killed us, but we are still in it after the third quarter. 31-28, our injuries on the defense caught up to us. Washington exposed it. Could be true, 100% true. Mike Marine Gunning, too many closet GMs who want us to cut players still under contract. Don't create holes and by subtraction, but by competition. I love Lions Talk Live too. Hey, love you too, man. Love you too, as always, Gunny. Detroit fan Rob Parker is a racist clown. Could be. John Page, what do you got? We all know Ben Johnson was leaving, so being mad at him for leaving isn't fair. Fair enough. Southwest Lion, why would Ben Johnson reveal to anyone on the team that he was going to take the Bears job before the game? Question mark. For the love of God, it's almost as like he was trying to sabotage the Lions to lose. That's the big question. I can't answer that one, man. Courtney, last year we made the NFC championship game. We did indeed. Let's see, Philippines on man. Good to see you. It's been a hot minute. Good to see you as always. Benedict Arnold runs off to Chicago. Yes, he does. Or did. Whatever I'm trying to say. Don, one funky. I'm with you, man. That's probably the most scary part to me is Goff stuck here for at least 2 years. I don't know who's the OC or pampered him or to pamper him. We'll find out what happens with Goff in the future. Southwest Line, I have faith in Jared Goff. He's been through tougher times than this. He will bounce back. I hope so too, man. I think he will. Detroit fan, go Lions. I like the way you're thinking. Marcus, this is a great venting session. The DC needed this. Dr. Coach Dan, hey, anytime, man. Hey, sometimes that's what the show's about, right? Getting things off your chest, just, getting it off so you can emotionally move on and have a better day. Don, Southwest Lion for Jalen Merrill. Are you jumping? We'll find out. Paige Goff had a horrible game. Exclamation point. 4 turnovers. The defense was even worse. This is why we lost. I'll go with that. Yeah, 100%. Hello, BS. More fuel for the fire. Detroit versus everybody. I like it indeed. David, good morning, Coach. Good morning, Dan, the Duke crew. Do you see a major change in how we coach the team since they built this team from the ground up? I don't think so, but wait and see what additions they make, who they bring into the OC and DC spots if Aaron Glenn does indeed depart. Philippines, I'm fine with losing both coordinators. We don't need the distraction next season. Yeah, me too, man. Keep things going easier. See, Leonard, running quarterback is still on a ongoing problem with the no pass rush. Agreed. And like I know Anthony from Roar Lions UK pointed out, I do think it's probably one of our biggest needs, if not the biggest need. Southwest, let's see, Don Burr, that's a good question. Maybe as a later round pick, take a flyer on him. Yeah, could be. Don Kung, yeah, totally. Goff, absolutely pathetic in that particular game. Yes, it was not his best game by any stretch. Michael, edge, offensive guard, center. wide receiver 3, cornerback, redraft. Okay. Don Bird, to be honest, Goff had a shaky game versus Vikings. It was like 2 or 3 drop INTs. Yeah, it wasn't the last 2 games of the season were not his best by any stretch of the imagination. Damian, Southwest Line, that's what I was thinking. Goff has been in a Super Bowl. It perplexed me to see him off his game like that. Yeah, he was definitely off. Southwest, all I can say is that Ben Johnson told Goff before the game that he was taking the Bears job. That was sabotage. I would hope he didn't do that. I would too. I would hope that he would have told him after the game, once he knew the season was done. Don Kong, I just drafted Jalen Merrill in the 3rd round last night. Okay. Let's see. Slow Town Trey. What do you got? Judas Johnson. There you go. Derek, edge, linebacker, center. Another cornerback wouldn't hurt either. It could be we go for all of them. Troy D, I agree. Don Burt, one funky. Son, Golf Slappies won't want to hear that truth. All right, fair enough. JK, Vegas called Ben Johnson personally. Philippines, what's up with Hooker? Question mark. It seems like if the Lions are shielding him from the public. That I don't know. I don't have any inside information on that. T-Roll, Hank Fraley is leaving. I don't know that, but I do know that Ben Johnson would like to get him, and I believe a couple other people's, Mark Burnell, also to come with him. Judas Johnson just wants to paint Caleb Williams' nails. Could be that's what he's trying to do. Kim, it's not leaving. It's how he did it. Correct. I agree with that. He was putting himself above the Lions and contributed significantly to the way the game was played. That could be definitely a lot of truth to that. Detroit D, I agree. One funky Lions fan. Donkey Kong. Hooker isn't very good. We'll find out. I think my anticipation why they went with Teddy for the emergency. Teddy's played NFL games before. You'd be asking Hendon Hooker to play his first NFL game or a real NFL game during a playoff scenario. Thomas, Ben J and play calling at times, question mark. What's the high? All right, 3rd and 2 throwing while have 7 yards of carry as an example. No reason for it. P.S. Glasgow is no longer a starter. Yeah, I would agree. He's probably done so here. Paige, it is up to Goff to prove his doubters wrong. Correct with that. He's the only one who can do it. He has shown up for big games. He has, and just unfortunately, his last 2 games weren't the greatest. All right, guys, there's about 3 minutes left, so I'm going to look for people who haven't been on the show as much. So, por favor. All right, Damien, how can any serious franchise allow themselves to be distracted from a great opportunity to get to the Super Bowl? This should be an indictment. I'll go with that. CK, yeah, Glasgow was bad. Yeah, he's aged out, I think. Key, if you're still on an SOL Lions fan at this point, you're just not a Lions fan. I'm down with that. All right, Steve, what a piece of garbage. Let the Lions lose so you can start your new job. What a traitor. We'll find out. Indeed. Michael, trade Hooker. He is 27 with a few reps. Okay. T-Bones, BJ is being consistent with doing what he is best for his career and his family. I wish him well. Me too, man. I wish him well. It's unfortunate it's Chicago. Kim, now we know why MCDC said this team was not prepared. He allowed Ben Johnson to prepare for the Bears instead of focus for the game at hand. Could be all that is correct. Detroit D, 2 of Goff's turnovers come on out of empty sets. Yeah, if you guys have ever watched the live casts I've done all season and even last year, I've just never been a fan with Jared Goff having an empty set. I just think you remove any doubt from the defense what you need to defend. Ryan, 53 plus players and staff hurt much worse than anyone. Time to start fresh. Ben Johnson will struggle on his own. The Bears management is a disaster. I'll go with that and hope so. Jason, he messed us over. Probably accurate. Let's see. Jay, NGL Goff sold that game. Ben Johnson didn't sell that game. It's hard to overcome 4 turnovers from your quarterback alone. I'll go with that. Johnny Gaz, good morning. Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point. Have a great Tuesday. Same to you, my friend, as always, my friend. Samuel, if Ben Johnson takes Hank Fraley with him, he's officially a supervillain. Yes, he will be. Let's see. 9 drinks. Good afternoon, Ant-Man. There you go. Let's see. Key. AG and got us to a certain point, and I'm appreciative of it. And now it's time for them to move on, and time for us to move on. They weren't meant to be the guys that were win it all with. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that might be true. A dog on 5 turnovers is a loss to anyone. Yeah, especially in the playoffs. Josh, is there a potential of sabotage as well, knowing he was leaving for the Bears? Yeah, there's definitely some potential there. All right, scrolling on through here, Southwest Line. Phil, I think he had an absolutely negative effect. Goff would almost any quarterback. All right, hallelujah, BS. Hank is not leaving unless Decker retires. Decker is the reason Hank stayed when Dan was hired. Okay, fair enough. Silent service. good morning, Detroit. I was talking to the Jets podcast, and they verified that Glenn is a done deal. Lance Nemark is going to be the new GM. Okay, thank you for that, man. Alex Zimmerman, just because Johnson was a good OC doesn't mean he's going to be a good head C or a head coach. And you are correct with that. 1,000% correct. Pierce, skip Ben Johnson. Okay. The old coaches get the blame all the time for not having guys prepared. Johnson tells Goff he's leaving before the game, which affects him mentally. Aspect of the game, Goff haters blame Goff. It could be. It could be all the above. Yeah, for sure. Perry, they should have kept to the running game. They were very strong next year. No worries. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Phil, yeah, Don, teach me about playing the fame. Okay. Let's see. We're looking on here for other ones here. JK, Karma coming for Ben Johnson. Maybe. Still, Juice Johnson. There you go. Smoking you some. I've seen too. Okay. Let's see. Mr. Morale, some of Ben Johnson. Oh, boy. Eddie's Fish. It does not make a difference. The Lions defense could not stop the Commanders anyways. Lions have a lot of work to do, need to focus on the defense. I would draft cornerback Will Johnson out of Michigan. Could be that's where they go. And I know he'll be somebody of interest for sure. One funky. My first two picks this draft would be left tackle, Overton defensive end from Bama, and Barrett Carter for linebacker from Clemson. Maybe that's where they go. Josh Jackson, hopefully the Bears continue to neglect that offensive line. Let's hope so. Henry, need good cornerbacks, the biggest need. Okay, fair enough. JK trade Hooker for critical draft picks. Maybe that's what they'll do. Looking for some others that haven't been on here. Phil, I'm out of here. All right, we'll see you next time, my friend. Team Rolls, Sorsdale. All right, Dion, Ben Johnson is gone. The focus should be the Lions improving. It is time to fully unleash Gibbs. I love Monty, but Gibbs is a superstar. Yes, I agree. Gibbs is definitely a superstar, without question there. Eddie's Fish, if Will Johnson is there when we take him, if Stewart out of Michigan or Mason Graham, there we'll pick them. Okay, we'll see if they come to us. Troy D. Goff has to be steady hand that guides the team to the Super Bowl win. Yeah, if he gets a Super Bowl here, he's going to get a big statue in front of Ford Field. Justin and maybe O-line. Fred, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. I'm starting to get over the loss. Me too, man. Today, though, since hearing about Ben Johnson last night, I really feel like we got messed over. Ben Johnson's head wasn't in the game. I would agree. I think there's evidence of that. Let's see. Justin, Hex, no, wouldn't hire Ben Johnson back. Exit 8. Hooker won't get us any picks. Everyone saw the Lions go to Teddy for the postseason. Obviously, the coaches did not trust him to perform. Okay. Let's see. Detroit D. I never like empty set with a non-mobile quarterback. Yeah, me either. Keith, agreed. I want AG gone too. Fair enough. We'll see if he's gone. Tim, love the BJ from Joe. Okay. Let's see. Smoke you some. Dan Campbell is worth at least 3 first-round picks. What say you? We'll see if that's what they do. Chris Steele, my guy, Ant. Yes, indeed. JDC, what would Donkey Kong say? Super Bowl or bust 2026? Go Lions. Let's get going there. Let's see. Moraine Johnson is a snake. It may be true. Philippines, we need to draft at least 2 offensive linemen. Maybe. Hallelujah BS. Lions with a spot of tea. All right. C note 313. Most can accept it's fixed even when it's so obvious. I don't make that 50 to be a full laugh. Shake your head. Okay. JDC, happy trails. Go Lions victory. We'll see you next time, my friend. Chuck Luck, good morning. Back at you. Hopefully it's a great morning for you. Trim Reaper, the end zone will give birth to J-Mo and the Lions, baby. Super Bowl next season. Woo! I like the way you're thinking 100%. C notes, love the sport, can't respect bird games. Okay. Leonard, Josh Daniels for offensive coordinator, and Salea, I always kill his name right now. Rex Ryan for defensive coordinator. In opinion, Coach Duku, I would like to get people in there that have been have already done the job before. Robert Saleh I'd be way okay with him, man. I think he will do a great job. Philippines, sorry, Dan. I have bronchitis. Been 3 weeks. Hopefully at the end of it. Yeah, hopefully for you too, man. Hopefully you're getting all recovered from it. See, well, hit that like button, Dan, the Duke Crew. Yeah, if you guys can hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. We hit the like button, all that stuff. Ron T. Brunell will go for his offense coordinator. That does seem like it's a possibility. Mark, do you think Jared Goff knew Ben Johnson was leaving prior to the playoff game? Yes, I do. Ryan, do you think they'll go after Max now since the season's over? Once the appropriate time to get into that kind of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Holmes kicks the tire on a couple different people. Lions Talk Live fan, I blame Dime Store Brad Holmes for not winning the Super Bowl. He should have went for a high-end pass rusher. You can always go there, for sure. I think a lot of people would agree. William, all the golf hate is crazy. Lamar Jackson did bad versus the Bills. Yes, Lamar needs some playoff wins badly for his career. Good show, Coach. Happy trails. Thank you, Ed. Thank you indeed. Oh, Dr. Detroit, Funky, have you been making that point for 3 years? So far, so right. Okay. One Funky. Sewell going to ride with him because he's the only quarterback he's known. That's probably true. Very true. Let's see. Steve, tough year with all the injuries on defense. Yes, it was. That definitely exacerbated the situation. Easy, I don't think Ben just turned down a Super Bowl ring. Do you think he took away from him getting prepared? I do think it took away from him being prepared. 100% there. Melting Brown, good morning from Mississippi. Hopefully it's a great morning for you. Sure, speak the truth. Hey, it happens. Try. And the DM5 TV, Ben Johnson, is a weak little man. Fair enough. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. If there is some sort of breaking news later today, I'll get over to you as quick as possible. If you would be so kind before checking out, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button. All that helps. Other than that, take care. Have a great day. Hope you do something kind for somebody you don't know. And we'll see you guys all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.